Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, this is Chris, and we're here for another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 54. And I know it took us a little bit to get going, a lot of technical glitches. I think they were literally trying to throw the kitchen sink at us, but we caught that joker, gave it a suplex, and showed them why we're here live. So at the end of the day, though, we have a great episode. So much going on today between rugby and bringing in the rugby review and sports movie madness. So much craziness going on. But to make sure that you keep up with all things Final Score, you need to make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PCN Final Score. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share, invite your friends, and go ahead and leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing, because we always try to bring the very best show that we can. And you can also check out all of our different content platforms, whether it be Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. Go on to any of those platforms and search Final Score, one word, and go ahead and give us a follow on there. That way you can catch all the latest episodes of Final Score available when we release them, because we're always doing stuff all the time. So there's plenty of stuff on there. Go check it out. And you can also find us on Podcast City Network, our beautiful parent network. All you have to do is go find them on social media or go to their website at podcastcity.net. And you can also find us on PodChaser, where you can go to podchaser.com, search keyword Final Score, one word, and give us a follow, rating, and review. And it's a great way for us to be able to interact with all of our fans and other podcasts. So definitely check us out on PodChaser, as well as Bullhorn, the free app where you can listen to any podcast for free on your Android or Apple device. Go on and search keyword Final Score and be able to check us out on there. Oh my gosh. Good thing I don't have to do this all in one breath. I got one more, though. We're almost there, and that is Radius Digital Marketing. We want to give a quick shout-out to Alec and Sean at Radius Digital Marketing. They've been extremely helpful in building our brand and expanding our audience, and they specialize in ad management, lead generation, brand awareness, and social media marketing. If you're looking to have your business go to the next level, contact Alec at Alec A. Newses, ALEKANUZIS at radiusdm.com for more information. I tell you what, but we're not done yet. There's always more. You can also get Chuck's mask. You can go on over to Facebook and search for the group TD and Company, where you can get yourself a nice face mask to help protect yourself during the coronavirus pandemic. You can also call 386-882-8704. Masks are $5 each. Definitely make sure to go grab your one today. Man, this is too much. I can't do this anymore.
Are you sure you don't want me to take some of those at some point? I mean, you just
I just hoof it, man. You know me, man. I just hoof it. You know,
he just does it promo style, man. He's got the promo school going. He's just doing it right.
You know, I just do what I can. You know, for all the great fans out there.
I was going to toss in there way back there that's soon to be Twitch. Also, we're soon going to be on Twitch, twitch.tv/PCN Final Score. We're going to have a sports stream team. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Hosted by yours truly.
That's right. It's definitely going to be awesome. I can't wait till everything's up and running. You find us playing all kinds of craziness on there because whether you know it or not, we play a lot of sports games in our spare time. So, you know, definitely find us on there. And it could be anything. It could be a little bit of Madden. It could be a little bit of NCAA football. If I'm not mistaken, Craig, I believe you made a post about that you might be doing some NCAA 14 work.
Yeah, that's the first stream we're going to do. Is we're going to do NCAA 14. The vote was either Road to Glory or Dynasty, and it was kind of close. 66% voted Road to Glory, so we are going to have a Road to Glory stream coming up this week. Boo. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Boo. Dynasty's better, so you can tank your whole team on your own.
Eventually what's going to happen is as soon as I'm done with that, we're just going to roll it right into a dynasty or just do 2 anyway.
Yeah, more than likely. It's just
We'll just
how we do it.
one night Road to Glory, one night dynasty. We'll see how it goes. But
yeah, definitely going to be some good stuff.
But yeah, it's going to be.
It works out, man. You going to choose Michigan?
Yeah, we got to get the character back on board. Got to get back into character.
Oh, this guy. But you know what? We got some other great guys here with us tonight. We have Jorge DeMoya from the Couch Dads podcast back for Sports Movie Madness Part 3. So glad to have you back, bud. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Just trying to deal with 3 kids in this quarantine. And let's just say that there's no couch dads going on. It's more like get out there and get them going.
Right.
Dads. Because, there's none of that going on right now, man. There's no couch sitting happening. It's an active lifestyle. Like, right now, I swear to God, 2 a.m., my daughter's waking up and like, why are you making me go to sleep? I'm not tired. I have so much energy. It's like, jeez,
so much.
Just go to bed. I can hear them. I hear them in the other room right now. Like, I hear them, staging a coup. So who knows? They might try to crash the show. But I'm thrilled to be here, representing Flintstone Media and the Florida Podcast Network, and of course Couch Dads Podcast. And I love being here with you boys and talking sports. It's one of my many loves. So let's get it.
Definitely. We love having you on. But we have one more person that we have on here that we have to bring in, and that is none other than Kevin Wathen of the Rugby Review. How are you doing today, bud?
Doing good. How's it going, guys?
Hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. Coronavirus and everything. I think I've taken a small amount of stock out and, Jameson whiskey. So at the end of the day, just trying to do what I can. Trying to make it through. But you know what? There's been a lot of craziness going on. And, we brought you on last week. And I swear we almost broke the internet just because we had so much fanfare. And I want to take this time right now to reach out and thank everybody who supports Final Score, everybody who listens, everybody who watches, anybody who's given us a like or even say, hey, Final Score, look, that's the thing. We thank you guys so much. We ended up having over 6,500 views last week. And it's absolutely amazing what we've been able to pull off with that. Didn't think we'd be able to do something like that. So really great to see something like that. And we owe it all to you guys out there. Thank you so much. So, but with that, though, we did bring in a new segment with Rugby Review and all the amazingness that comes with rugby. What do you got for us this week, Kevin?
So what I got for us is a team spotlight where each week I'm going to spotlight a team in the USARL. I'm going to start with Rugby League. I know I've had a lot of fans out there saying, when are you going to touch on Rugby Union? It is coming. For those of you guys that have no idea what I'm talking about, there is a split between the two. They are both rugby, but they're played a little bit differently. The rules are just a tad bit different. Rugby league meaning closer to similar, very similar to football, American football, where they have 4 downs. Rugby league would have 6 downs, but very similar format. And the team I want to spotlight, but hold on, before I get to that, I got to get more comfortable. So we got our 2012 national championship ring.
Oh, snap. Pulling out
We
the
got
hardware.
our 2018 national championship ring. 2-time national champion.
Okay.
The team I'm going to be spotlighting, however, has 3 national titles, and I won 2 out of the 3 with them. The Jacksonville Axemen, the team I started with, and the team I'm going to finish with. I feel like there's not enough of that in today's sports, where you have a guy that starts off with a team and finishes with the same team. But that's what I'm going to do up here in Jacksonville, is hopefully one day get to coach with one of the greats. And we're going to hear from him a little bit later. He agreed to sit down and interview us, and he said he's got all the time in the world with this COVID crisis. So it was a good deal for us to get him on board and talk to him for a little bit. I wanted to give our listeners out there a little bit of data, a little bit of information on the Axemen. I want your guys' opinion too on this. So I want you guys to name a better franchise than the Axemen, if you can. They started in 2006, so we've been around for 15 seasons. In those 15 seasons, we've appeared in 8 national titles and won 3 national titles, 2010, 2012, and 2018.
Ooh, I know this one.
Craig, let's go to you, buddy.
The last time my Michigan Wolverines were relevant in college football,
There you go.
which
Snap.
would be the early 1900s.
Yeah, it's definitely not the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Hey now. I made sure to wear my jersey tonight as well. I had a feeling this would happen, that you guys would resort to this Michigan-based tomfoolery. And just letting you know, the Irish, we've run out of fingers to put our rings on. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
Hey, just remember who leads the all-time national titles.
No, yeah, Alabama.
Yeah, is it
So
Alabama? It's not the U.
No, it's Michigan.
You guys absolutely kill me. But anyways, so much great stuff going on with the rugby review. But you got anything else for us, Kevin?
I'm very excited about our next guest on the show tonight. His name is Sean Rutcherson, aka Rutcho. He is a former professional rugby player in Australia and in England. He is also the current USA Hawks and Jacksonville Axemen head coach. So, Rutcho, let's get right into it. Thank you for being on the show. And with this COVID-19 crisis, how have you coped with boredom? Because I know that's not your strong suit.
So thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Great questions. How have I been coping with the boredom? Well, I've just been fixing. Drew, the owner of the Axemen's, been nice and give me a couple of chainsaws and things like that to fix. Plus, I'm doing some, odds and ends and trying to do something. The beaches are shut, but I just heard that they're opening again shortly, so that'll make it a bit easier for me. This is torture. At least I've got my own enough gym equipment to do my own training outside, so that's good.
Do you think that the USARL season will take place this year, even though it doesn't seem likely?
As for the USARL season, will it go ahead? There's a big maybe. I think that the Axemen, will definitely get some games in. Whether we have the full competition, whether the full competition runs or not is doubtful. But and every indication up until Lakeland, Tampa, and things like that, that I'm pretty sure we will get some games going, even if it's not full competition. Unfortunately, because there's things with insurance. Do they pay the insurance, which is a lot of money to pay if you're not going to play, and all these sorts of things. So, yeah.
Rutcho, when did you start playing rugby league?
When did I start playing? I started playing when I was 13, and that's in 1990 or something like that, 1991? I don't know, whatever. Back in under 13s, that was in Byron Bay, my hometown, but my mum would never let me play before that, so we always played soccer. But when I first started my first year of high school, before I moved to Byron, we used to play just before school down on the field. We just no referees or anything, and just used to be all on, and they were all like, "Oh, you should come and play," because I was bigger than most of them, and but Mum would never let me, so anyway, so we finally talked Mum into doing it when we moved to the new place in Byron, and and that was it. Bit of fun. A long time ago.
I know we talked about it on the previous episode of Final Score, that the NRL was the equivalent of the NFL in Australia, and you've made it to that level of competition. What was it like playing for the North Sydney Bears and the Canberra Raiders?
Playing for North Sydney Canberra was a great experience. So I left my hometown Byron as soon as I finished high school. I was 17, turning 18 the next year. And I did a few trials and then went and played at North, and they gave me a job and a little bit of money, and I stayed there for like 6 years and worked my way through under 19s and played 21s, and then played a few seasons of reserve grade. And I was like, I played a lot of reserve grade, biding my time, waiting for an opportunity, and finally got an opportunity and made first grade, which was like a pretty long road when I think back to it. When I was about 23, I think, when I made my debut. Dropped the ball on debut as well. So playing for Norths was, it was good. I had all these superstars in the team in first grade, like, Billy Moore, Gary Larson, David Fairley, Greg Florimo, Jason Taylor, Brett Dallas, Michael Butner, Ben Eichen, all these, Sean Hoppy, all these superstars that played for Queensland, New South Wales and Australia. And, they'd turn up to train in their BMWs and their fancy watches and, they're all on big coin. Oh, Adam Muir's another one. Jeez, we had, anyway, so, so they'd all turn up with all these fancy clothes, and they were just, we used to look at them as reserve graders, and we're still like working in the pub, pulling beers and things like that. What it'd be like to be like that and all that sort of stuff. And then, anyway, I finished there and went to Canberra, and the big difference was, I remember one of the first days I turned up at training, and Laurie Daly turned up, who was still playing for New South Wales and Australia at that time, or he might have just retired at footy. And he had exactly the same car as I had. And I was like, oh, it was weird. He turned up, he actually parked next to me, he got out, and I was like, oh, Laurie Daly's got the same car as me. And then Brett Mullis turned up, put his cigarette out on the floor. He had an old ute with chickens and shit flying around in the back, and then they turned up and we trained, and it was just the big difference between, the high rollers at North Sydney and the Canberra. Keeping in mind that North Sydney hadn't won a thing, and the Canberra boys had won everything, and they were always, they had that many Australian players as well. And that was a big difference between the two clubs. But it was a great experience playing for both of them, and I was lucky enough to, to get a few seasons out of it, which was like a dream of mine when I was a kid.
When you made the transition to Super League in England, was the level of competition the same or was it different?
Okay, when I moved to the to Super League to play for Salford. Salford, they have promotion relegation Super League, so I'd signed a contract to play with Salford, but it wasn't going to be guaranteed until they won their grand final. So they had to win their grand final to be promoted. And they were playing against the Leeds Centurions, who had beaten them previously that year. And Karen and I went to Sydney to watch the NRL grand final, I think, at a pub. We stayed in a hotel the night, and my manager said, he'd let me know in the morning, like 4 in the morning, whatever it was, as soon as which was like, the night before or whatever in England, as soon as they won. And got the call and said, pack your bags, going to England. And so going to Salford was, as I said, they came up from relegation. I was playing the championship level, and they were not used to the speed of Super League level or the NRL level. I'd come straight from losing a semi-final in the NRL to the Warriors in 2003. And then so I would get over there at training, and it was like I was like out ahead of them, like shooting out of the line, defensive line I'm talking about. But really, I was just moving up at normal pace, and they weren't used to it. And then we came to a game, and the same thing happened. I remember the trainer coming out the field saying, "You got to stay in the line, stop going out in the line." I was like, what the hell are you talking about, mate? I'm just moving up. I was like, tell them to catch up. But obviously it took a while, and we won our first game, but then we lost the next 11 in a row, and that was the first year, but we survived. And then didn't get relegated, but it was quite a stressful time, that game towards the end of the year for the relegation. And then the next year we went better, and the year after that we ended up making the semi-finals, 2006. So the club going from relegation to make the semi-finals, which was like massive. We actually led the comp for a bit that year, and it was pretty good. And as for the level of competition, it's not as consistent. So you have plenty of tough games in Super League, but you also have those games that are not as intense and not as tough, because you've got your top clubs and then you've got your bottom clubs. Whereas the NRL, they're all, you've still got a couple of clubs that don't have, you're not having a good year or whatever, but if you're not there on your day, you're going to get beat. Whereas in Super League, sometimes you can get away with that sort of stuff. So there is a bit of a difference. The top clubs, yep, they were just the same, but they had those clubs down that were sort of struggling. And Salford, the club I was at, was one of those for the first year or so.
After your playing days were nearly over, what was the decision to come to Jacksonville? Why did you decide Jacksonville out of all places?
The reason I came to Jacksonville, when I was playing for Salford, 2003, 4, and 5, we used to, because the weather in England in the pre-season was so poor, to get some good quality training in, we used to have a 10-day camp here in Jacksonville. So the club would fly over, we'd stay on Bay Meadows at the Embassy Suite and get a couple of buses, we'd stay there, have great food, and it was like 2 to 1, the English pound to the US dollar. So, and then we'd train for 10 days. And the coach always said, you can go and have a few beers as long as you turn up right for training. And for 3 years we did that. We boys would go and have a couple of beers and eat some wings. Because, getting 6 chicken wings in England cost a bloody fortune, but here we'll get like 100 for like $20 or something. Whatever it was cheap because obviously it was half price because we were in a pound. Anyway, so we did that for 3 years, and then that's how I came to know Steve Gormley, and I met Spinner while I was here. And I remember, so I've still got a photo of Spinner with his Outback Hummer, and and then I went back to Australia. Couple of coached the team there for a couple of years, and sent him an email, Spinner, to try and get over here, and then couldn't happen that year. Then 2009, I came over to captain coach, and then we had to go back to Australia for a few years, and then the same thing. Spinner contacted me and said, look, you're a chance of being involved with the US Rugby League. Why don't you send your resume? You can be assistant coach, blah, blah, blah. And then I put in for that, and I got it, and then, moved over here. That's how I ended up getting here.
Rocho, do you feel that rugby league in America will ever reach the level that it is there in Australia?
Rugby league in America, look, we need people to put money in. We've got to get on TV. That's a goal here. One of our goals is to try and televise all our Axemen home games, and then hopefully all of the games in the Southern Conference, and maybe we can build from there. As soon as people see it on TV and we can start getting some sponsorship dollars in, and obviously we can get better players and better facilities and all that sort of stuff, and we'll build from there. And I believe that it can and it will. And we just need to crack that television, because we're ready to go. We just need the money. We've got a television station ready to go. There's equipment, there's space, there's time. We've spoken about it, but we need it. And it's only going to cost us $5,000 a game. If we have like 4 or 5 home games, you add that up, like $30,000, pretty much we can get it done. And that, $30,000 worth of sponsorship, given the amount of people that will get to watch it, would be fantastic. So yes, I do think it will happen. Will it get to the level of Australia? Not until those things that I spoke about previously get on board. And then obviously, when you're playing a total of like a year, an Axeman, so the last 2 years when you play, if you take into account we've made it through to the grand final, I think it's 8 games or maybe 9 games, so 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe say 10 at the max, plus the North, South and an international, so 11, 12 games a year. When in Australia they're playing at that level for 26 rounds plus semi-finals, those are going to play. Then you've got 2 or 3 trials, sometimes 4 trials, so they're up around the 30 games a year mark, and the elite players are playing like over 30 games. So every year they're playing 30 games, and every year we're playing 10 or 12. So they're just going ahead. So we need to obviously become professional, play more games, and as soon as that happens, then we can start sort of bridging that gap. And obviously, the more popular it gets, the better and bigger athletes we can get, and the younger kids we can get, start training them earlier, and so on and so forth, get into the schools and all that sort of stuff when there's some money. Because at the moment, there's no money. Nobody gets paid. It's all voluntary, as long as everybody knows that. It cost me a fortune to be here. And I'm lucky enough to have my wife's father and mother help us out a fair bit.
What are some of your goals of the USA Hawks moving forward?
Goals for the US Hawks going forward is to, obviously, we need to get some sponsorship dollars in so we can have some camps around the place, you know. Have a camp down south, camp up north, and we need to have a couple of, to help with the US selection. It would be really good if we could have more north-south. I want to have 3 north-south games, sort of like a state of origin in Australia. And I want people to, you know, to take it more seriously. We can't have people just not turning up and expect them to be picked for the Hawks and all that sort of stuff. No, it's got to be like, you know, it's got to be something that you strive to play for. The, you know, striving to get into the South team or the North team, and that game, you can have it televised, whatever. That's a goal of mine, to get that on board so that then we can help with US selection. And then I would like to have a fully funded tour every year to go away and play a couple of games, like 3 or 4 games in a row, like a 2-week tour, something like that. We need to do it every year instead of scratching around, having players, 6 or 7 players pull out every time we go to play a game. And then, you know, blokes are battling and having to pay logistics fees and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's where we're at the moment, so that's what we've got to do, but I don't like it. And I'm hoping that, you know, we've got to pay logistics fees as well. I can't really afford it myself. I had to set up a bloody GoFundMe to get to Australia for the World Cup. So, you know, that's what we desperately need.
What's your favorite sports movie of all time? I gotta ask, since we're doing the sports movie madness.
Favorite sports movie of all time? Favorite sports movie of all time would have to be Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell in the Flint, Michigan Tropics, I think they were called. Great show. And that's it. Let's hope we get some games, and hopefully this virus finishes quickly.
Oh, man, really great piece, really great interview, and, man, I know that guy's a legend. Kevin, what more can you tell us?
He's, first and foremost, I want to thank him. This awesome sit-down interview that I had with him. He's a great friend of mine, great guy to play for. He's one of those player coaches that everyone wants to play for. He can get you to work and get the best out of everyone, get the full potential out of every player that he's been around. Mm-hmm. And you've seen the success that's followed him all the way from the NRL all the way through to his coaching days. So just a phenomenal person all around, phenomenal athlete back in the day, and phenomenal coach. So I wish him all the success going forward.
Definitely. Now, we've had a couple questions that have popped up in the chat. The first being from Miranda Bernard, asking if you see the current global status interrupting the Axemen season.
I don't think the USA, like Rutger was saying earlier on the interview, I don't think that the season is going to start on time, but I do think it's a good opportunity for Rugby League in America to kick off before the other sports. Obviously, you want to do that safely. You want to make sure the fans, the spectators, the athletes are all safe, and there's not going to be any type of problem or relapse into this current situation that we're in. But if we open up before baseball, before hockey, before football opens up, we have an opportunity to be the only sport playing in America. And what everyone is dying for right now is sports. They're dying to see something live. They don't care what it is. They could throw cricket on TV and people will watch it in the droves. So rugby's kind of in a precarious situation right now. Do you open too soon and get criticized for it, or you take advantage of this this niche, this opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get people to watch a sport that I think as soon as people watch it, it's going to grow. It's going to grow leaps and bounds in this nation. People love seeing big hits. People love seeing people get tore up. I mean, look at anytime you type in American football into YouTube, the first thing that pops up is biggest hits. You type rugby, the first thing that pops up into YouTube on rugby is biggest hits. which led me into this new segment I want to do each week in the Rugby Review, which is called, drumroll please, Waffins Wallops. And we're going to basically focus all of our attention on the team spotlight. So the top 5 that you're going to see in tonight's episode all come from the Jacksonville Axemen, some of the biggest hits. And when my wife and I sat down and we're dissecting this video, all these videos, I mean, we probably watched over 10 hours of rugby league this past week. It's great. No kids, get to watch what you want, get to not watch Frozen and Frozen 2. So,
I feel like that was a jab at me. I think you and I are gonna have to see go hit for hit here. All right, I will Maui check you into the boards, bro.
Did you say Maui?
Right yes,
Maui.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Please, sir, sit
What's
down.
happening on the ice?
So.
Because I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to calm down.
Oh my gosh. Oh, people we let on the show.
We got the segment called Waffins Wallops, and I took the 5 biggest hits of the Jacksonville Axemen history.
Nice.
All right, that's nice. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna roll it from the top.
What up? Yeah, it's recording.
Man, I can't lie. That was pretty crazy looking. There's some huge hits in there, Kevin.
Yeah, do you like that one at, what was it, number 3?
Oh, yeah, that one was pretty sick.
Yeah, who was that guy number 3? Who was
Seems
that guy?
familiar.
That
Yeah,
was
oddly
probably, and it was my first season playing in the USARL, and this guy's fumbling for the ball, looking straight down to the ground, and I got a 20-meter head start at him.
Oh.
So that was a fun hit, especially it being in a national championship game. So that was awesome.
Definitely, man. That's sick. Great stuff.
Let me ask you. So, I gotta ask. So a hit like that, like number 3, that completely changes the complexion of the game. Like in hockey, for me, if a big hit happens, just completely can change the momentum. Same for you guys, right?
Oh, it turns it on its head. We come alive. The whole entire team. We'll jump, hoot, and holler, get around one another, and you see the opposite team. Their heads just sink. It's just completely demoralizing when you see somebody get wrecked. Especially you don't have the helmet, the shoulder pads, all that sissy gear on, I like to call it.
I mean, there's nothing more manly, I feel like, than saying, like, oh, you're talking about pads and protective wear? Nah, we're good. You know, like, come on. That's epic.
Get this, I used to not even wear a mouthpiece, like no mouthpiece at all. I've had a couple of chips here and there. But then I married my wife, and she's a dental hygienist, so the first thing she told me is that mouthpiece better be in your mouth. She's almost walked onto the field and handed me my mouthpiece.
Oh, man, I can see that now. Her coming out there to scold you for not wearing your mouthpiece.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, too
I could
good.
see that. That's like when I used to not have a cage, and then my wife was like, "I swear to God, you better put on a damn cage." I'm not dealing with a broken nose and 2 missing teeth for my wedding. You better put on a cage.
Oh,
So
man.
since then, I've been rocking the cage.
Oh, yeah, I've had it all. I've
The
had
pictures
broken...
would have been great.
Yeah. I've had it all in rugby. Broken cheekbone, broken nose, cracked teeth, all
man.
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
I used to feel like I was the tough guy. I don't know how to be with you, bro. I'm sorry. I used to be the hockey guy that would make fun of like the basketball guys and the soccer guys and even some of the football guys. But I can't talk to you, man.
You can't knock the rugby guys. The rugby guys are probably some of the toughest people out there.
Yeah, that's the
Exactly.
manliest of
Like,
man.
how do you do that?
On that note, we're going to go ahead and switch gears on over to sports movie madness. We are now into revealing our second round winners, and it's been absolutely insane. Taking a look at our bracket right now, you can see we've had a lot of surprise teams advance in this tournament so far, including Little Giants, among others, and it's been absolutely crazy. However, I know what happened in the latest fan vote. And you guys, of course I do. It's the magic of, being the production guy. And because of that, you guys get to speculate as to what the fans chose. So in our very, very first matchup, we had the Little Giants taking on the Replacements. Who do you guys think took this one?
Well, the fact that the Little Giants got the upset early on was huge. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I took Replacements in last week's show. Just the Keanu Reeves, the X factor there. So
Right.
I think Replacements took it.
George, you agree?
I do not. I think that the Little Giants continues its hot streak. And if any of them are watching, I got to give it out to, my beer league hockey crew that are a bunch of degenerates that literally went, Rudy, screw that, Icebox all the way. And they all texted me like, I voted Icebox. Screw Rudy. Like, I was like, guys, it's a great movie. What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
and they're
right?
like, the hell with the system. They
I
didn't
feel
care.
attacked.
love it.
It was
I
a
love
little bit
it.
of an attack. And I feel like they just continued to back it all the way. They're riding Icebox and Rick Moranis as much as they can. So that's my pick. I'm rolling with my boys. So
Can't go wrong with that. Kevin, what do you think about Little Giants and the Replacements?
Craig, I'm actually shocked you went for the Replacements. Being that Keanu Reeves plays a former Ohio State quarterback in that movie, so I cannot
Remember, we're talking about what we think the fans are going to vote. I didn't say what I voted.
I'm actually going to go with the Little Giants, and I was doing some research here, and you guys know how the Little Giants was even inspired was actually a Super Bowl ad that was ran that Spielberg watched in the early 90s, and it was about Pee Wee football, and he liked it so much, he went and called the ad's creator the next day and said, hey, you need to write this script now. We need to get this out there.
Nice.
So
yep.
I'm going to go with the Little Giants on here. I can't vote for anything, or hopefully the fans didn't vote for anything Ohio State branded.
Well,
Amen to that.
after looking over all the votes, and at a 2-1 voting margin, the Little Giants keep on going and took down the Replacements and will advance to the next round of the Sports Movie Madness Tournament. Absolutely insanity. But the next matchup is one I think a lot of us kind of looked at, kind of circled, kind of wondered how it could work out between Invictus and Remember the Titans. George, what do you think of this matchup?
So I had to, boys. I had to go on Disney Plus. It's where I live and breathe right now. Aside from Moana, the little one was sleeping, so Moana was off. Remember the Titans was on, and I was watching it and getting inspired. And then in the back of my mind, I heard it, Kevin, and the rugby report being such a huge factor. The X factor is here. Invictus probably took it. I'm sticking with what I said last week. Invictus all the way.
Oh, I have a feeling I already know where Kevin's going to go with this, so we're going to go ahead and throw it to Craig first. Craig, do you agree with George's assessment?
I absolutely 100% agree. I think just the following that Kevin brings to the table and the influence that he has, it's going to help sway the vote. Now, this is a tough matchup because remember the Titans they could have been the 1 seed in this region, but
Easily.
yet here we are, and I think Invictus takes it.
Oof. Kevin, we'll go ahead and get your 2 cents, bud.
You guys know what the Latin term for undefeated is?
Is it Chris Wilson?
Invictus. And Invictus moved on. Latin term for undefeated
but
is Invictus, and Invictus moved on.
didn't remember the Titans in the movie. They demanded perfection, and they went undefeated in that movie.
Ooh,
They did.
that's a good point.
They did. 13-0 there in 1971. T.C. Williams, not only in the movie but also in real life. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Nine out of those 13 games were shutouts. That's remarkable. That's impressive for a high school football team.
Oh, absolutely.
for sure.
But with this matchup and winning in a 3-1 odds, remember the Titans takes down Invictus and moves on to face the Little Giants in our next round.
It's rigged.
Somebody send Kev a care package, man.
Well, at the end of the day, while rugby is absolutely amazing, we all know that American football is still the most watched here in America. So at the end of the day, though, I had a feeling that it was going to work out this way. But Invictus is still a great movie, by all means. But in our next matchup, we had the Waterboy taking on Any Given Sunday. Now, this one's a very interesting matchup, especially for football movies. What do you guys think about this one? Kevin, I'll throw it to you first.
I got to go with Waterboy. Highest grossing sports comedy of all time, and it moves on here against Any Given Sunday.
Can't go wrong with that one. George, your take.
Taking the stats right out of my mouth, Kev. You and I, man. I swear. Absolutely. Waterboy, one of the highest grossing football comedies out there, definitely is moving on. We need to laugh in this day and age and with everything going on. And not to mention that there's some great cameos in this, There's some great cameos in The Waterboy. And Adam Sandler is known for his cameos. He always brings a great cameo for whatever film, whether it's Steve Buscemi, whether it's one of his SNL buddies, or anybody else. He always knows how to really bring it. Not to mention that The Big Show is also in The Waterboy.
Because Captain Insano shows no mercy.
Captain Insano shows no mercy, so there you go.
All right, Craig, round us out.
Comedy over drama, just to reiterate George's point, is probably going to be the thing that wins out here. But what I'm looking forward to is the next matchup, which I'm just predicting already here. I think it's going to be an all Adam Sandler regional semifinal, longest yard versus Waterboy.
We'll definitely see. But in our current matchup between the Waterboy and Any Given Sunday, Waterboy gets 5 times as many votes and advances on to take on the winner of our next round. Now, this one actually ended up being a lot closer than I thought it would be. This was literally separated by only 4 votes between the longest yard and the blind side. Craig, who do you think the fans took?
I'm sticking with it. Longest yard. I think it's the comedy. I think it was done really well. It did a nice little callback to the original, and then all the cameos. Like you said, Adam Sandler knows how to do his cameos and does them very well. So I think the close vote. Blind Side's a great movie, but if I had to pick between the two, I would actually pick Longest Yard.
Oh man, Kevin, you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that all the way. I actually went back this week and watched the Burt Reynolds Longest Yard, and then I followed that up with the Adam Sandler, and I was impressed. I was impressed because usually remakes they don't live up to the hype, but this one he did good. And actually, I was watching the scene. You guys remember the scene when they're playing basketball there in the prison yard?
Oh yeah.
You know who's playing basketball there is actually the band D12.
Mm-hmm.
And then they make a reference to Eminem in that.
Oh, that's great. I never even noticed that. That is awesome. But George, with that, do you agree?
I don't agree, and the fake Slim Shady is not going to get past this, because that was the reference you're talking about, Kev. The Blind Side is hands down a phenomenal movie, and it's a better movie. I feel like it was closer than we think because everybody wants to watch a comedy nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But The Blind Side is still inspiring. Okay, it's not a tear-jerking drama. Everybody cries when the coach scene for Rudy, and that's why I didn't win. Nobody wants to cry right now. That's why I didn't move forward, man. I hate to burst your bubble. And that's what I'm taking. I'm saying The Blind Side moves on here.
Well,
George, I'm interested to hear your take on. Do you think The Longest or The Blind Side would have been the same movie if they cast Julia Roberts instead? Because that was their target, was to go for Julia
true.
Roberts instead of Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. Do you think Will Smith would have been good in The Matrix?
I don't know.
No. Keanu Reeves made that freaking
trilogy.
trilogy. And even though Will Smith was the original choice, sometimes the secondary choice is a lot better than you think it is. Because they are willing to work with the director. They're willing to work with the producers to put out a better product. Sandra Bullock's performance in The Blind Side is hands down second to none.
Oh,
Because she killed it, man. Julia Roberts, she would have played a really bad Aaron Brockovich.
That's a pretty good reference.
Yeah, it really is.
That's all it would have been. So I'm glad it's Sandra Bullock that got chosen, and Blind Side moves on.
I can't help myself. Would you say Keanu Reeves even bent over backwards? Just saying, I couldn't help myself. Anyways, so between The Longest Yard and The Blind Side, separated by just a mere 4 votes. Sorry, I had to clear my voice for this one. The Blind Side moves on against The Longest Yard. It will now take on The Waterboy in the next round, rounding out our Region 1 bracket. You guys surprised by that one?
Nope.
Not really, because The Blind Side's a great movie. I just figured, again, with that, with Adam Sandler movies and the comedy that everybody's probably watching right now wants to get a laugh, figured it would have moved on.
Definitely. Well, as you see here, we've now filled out, I should say, that third rung in Region 1 of our main bracket. But now we got to move on. That's right. We got to move on to our second region. We're going to kick it right off the top with Rocky and The Wrestler. George, what do you think about this one? Where do you think the fans went with this?
Well, again, we're talking about another factor being that I know our audience are huge wrestling fans, right? But let's be honest, wrestling is going on a little bit of a down slope right now. They're dealing with a lot of issues out there.
I'm pretty sure wrestling is the only active sport right now. All right.
Is AEW about to take over as the number one promotion in the country?
Sport.
I had to air quote it hard.
Yeah, you got to air quote it like you mean it. And I'll give it credit. One of my favorite directors is definitely Darren Aronofsky. He is phenomenal for The Wrestler. Okay, he has a mind that reminds me of Stanley Kubrick. All right, so he's out there when it comes to that. He really knows how to bring in the emotional factor. And The Wrestler deserves to be in this bracket. Maybe he just got a short end of the stick because you can't top Rocky. I'm sorry, there is a freaking statue of a fake athlete. He's not real. I mean, based on some maybe of true stories, some say, but not really. And there's a statue from him. Michael Jordan has a statue. Wayne Gretzky has a statue. They actually played. There's a Rocky statue in Philly.
Man.
Rocky all the way, man.
Man, don't hold back, ever.
No, never.
Craig, do you agree with that assessment?
It should be Rocky in a landslide, but knowing some of the audience that we have, it'll probably be a little bit closer. I'm going to say Rocky wins 3-1 votes.
Interesting. Kevin, do you think that's going to work out that way?
I'm going for Rocky. First film to win an Academy Award for Best Picture. First film. Sports film. And The Wrestler, the reason why I'm going to go against this, the guy who played, that steroids dealer on The Wrestler, I just watched it this week too. I've been binge watching sports movies all week.
Oh, man.
After this film's release, he was arrested for steroid possession and assaulting feds, like months after the release.
I mean, that sounds like a normal pro wrestler, you know, like.
That's called method acting.
Wait, is that Vince McMahon? Was that Vince McMahon?
Ah!
No? Okay.
Oh man, it is too good. But in this matchup, we did have a landslide winner, and that was none other than Rocky, who will advance to our Sweet 16 to take on the winner of our next matchup, which was between A League of Their Own and Raging Bull. Craig, your thoughts? Where do you think the fans went with it?
Oh, two great movies, but if I'm going with the fans and generally age bracket we're looking at, League of Their Own probably won pretty healthily here.
Oh man, Kev, you think that happened?
League of Their Own. Yep.
Oh man, we're short answering it at this point. George, you gonna short answer it too?
I'm never going to short answer it when it comes to sports movies, man. Do you know who I am? I'm a couch dad, sports movie madness guy. I'm the one that brought this here. Let's go. A League of Their Own, hands down, though, does move forward. Okay? And it has to do with Tom Hanks. He beat the COVID, virus, thankfully, him and his wife. They did the right thing. He hosted SNL virtually, which was
Did
really
you watch
cool.
that? Did you guys watch that?
I did. I
get a
did see
chance.
that. That was actually a really fun, really cool way to do it. And of course he's going to beat whatever in this, Raging Bull. He's going to beat Raging Bull in this too. He's unstoppable. He's Tom frickin' Hanks.
He's Tom frickin' Hanks. And when you go back and look at the votes, yeah, it definitely was not even close. Raging Bull, I think, maybe had like 2 or 3 votes total, as A League of Their Own literally steamrolls Raging Bull to take on the Rocky series next week in the Sweet 16. And that's hell of a matchup, honestly.
Now, these next two matchups, I think, are some of the toughest matchups in the remaining tournament.
Yeah, definitely no lie there. They honestly were pretty close in voting as well. And in our first matchup, it was between Creed, the entire series, and Moneyball. George, we'll go ahead and throw it to you first. Who do you think the fans chose?
Well, I got to be honest. I think Creed has the potential for an upset here. And that's who I think the fans voted for.
Mm-hmm.
My vote is still Moneyball, though. My vote is still Moneyball. Moneyball is so well written, and that's what I think is the key to that, is that the dialogue in Moneyball, it just flows, right? There's no pauses that don't mean anything. There's no silence that doesn't have a point. And the dialogue between Pitt, Jonah Hill, and some of the other characters that are in this. Mr. Guardians of the Galaxy himself, Chris Pratt, all of a sudden lost a shit ton of weight from Parks and Rec and looks like a chiseled ball player. If he didn't do that role, he doesn't get cast for Guardians of the Galaxy, for sure.
True story.
And he did a great job in that film, too. So Moneyball is my vote, but I wouldn't be surprised if Creed comes with the upset.
Man, Craig, do you think that Creed got that upset, or do you think it goes Moneyball?
I mean, I couldn't have said it better than the way George just said it, because I'm with you. I think Creed has a really good chance just because of the recency and how well the movies have done, but Moneyball would be my pick too. Moneyball was such a great movie. Like I love that movie. I really don't know how else to put it.
Kevin, you're the last one up, man. Who do you think this goes to?
I'm kind of split right here. I think the fans are going to go Creed, but I'm definitely going Moneyball on this one. Just following up what George said, well done movie. They didn't have a lot of money to make this movie, especially the locations they're trying to shoot. So they actually dressed up Dodger Stadium to look like 8 different ballparks for this movie, which most people don't know. Almost the entire movie was shot inside Dodger Stadium, and they did a well job of basically masquerading that to look like it was different ballparks throughout the MLB. Yeah. So personally, I would have chosen Moneyball in this, but I think the fans are going to go Creed.
Oh man, but there's only one person who truly knows, and Oh, I guess that's
It's
me,
you.
isn't
It's
it?
you.
Man, look at that. And by a close vote, it was only separated by 6 votes. Moneyball actually moves on and takes down Creed to advance to the Sweet 16. Now, they will be taking on one of our next winners, which came down to Sandlot and Field of Dreams. Definitely 2 baseball classics that many people love. Kevin, we're going to throw it to you first. How do you think the fans voted?
Think they went Field of Dreams on this one. My field is about 50% done in the backyard. Last episode, I started building. Yeah, it's almost done in the backyard. I'm hoping August 13th we're still able to see that game. What was it, the White Sox versus the Yankees there at the Field of Dreams there in Iowa? I'm hoping that game still takes place because I think that's an awesome opportunity for Major League Baseball to showcase not only that movie but also that field, how well it was done, and get some fans in there to watch it. Go back to the purity of the sport.
Absolutely, absolutely. George, have you gotten your field done yet?
I haven't gotten my field. I had a water park constructed earlier today that just completely screwed up my field. But you know, that's dad issues, if you will. But I am definitely with Field of Dreams, and this is hard, man, because I grew up on Sandlot, and I love The Sandlot. It is such a great film. I don't know how many times I've bought the "You're Killing Me, Smalls" T-shirt. You know, I must have like 5 or 6 of them for different stages in my life. But the concept of Field of Dreams is just, it's amazing. It's inspiring. It's emotional. It's one of those movies that you do kind of sometimes cry a little bit in it, but you not necessarily. It's a good cry. And you know, fun fact: the Dwyer Brown, who was the actor that played John's father, is actually younger than Kevin Costner in the film. Wow. That dude looks pretty freaking good, if you ask me, because he looks like the dad, you know, hands down. But he's actually younger than Kevin Costner. And I mean, come on, where else do you get James Earl Jones, who's a phenomenal actor all the way around? Absolutely. You know, and, I mean, he really brings that whole movie together. So I'm going Field of Dreams.
George, I don't know about your water park and all that kind of situation and stuff you got going on with that. You know, usually you can get a good demo crew to come in and just, you know, kind of sweep away the water. I know I keep a good 16,000 foot pool back here or something, you know. So, you know, I know it can get kind of crazy, man. I know it can get crazy. But Craig, do you agree? Are you going to go Field of Dreams as well?
So I very boldly last week predicted that Sandlot would come up with the monumental upset, and I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it.
Man, that's a big claim. But when we actually go to the votes,
that's because Craig got those 2 Huskies, and he's going to name one of them Hercules.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, there was a movie that ended up taking 70% of the votes, and it was none other than The Sandlot taking down Field of Dreams, and will go on to take on Moneyball in the next round of the Sweet 16. Craig, your reaction?
If you think about it, like you think about our generation, iconic movies, and George, you had nailed it right on the head, talking about how you love that movie, and that I think that was the big reason why everyone remembers that movie so vividly. Field of Dreams, a fantastic movie, definitely should have moved on, but you got to think of how the fans are going to vote.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And as you
this
see
is
here,
true. This is definitely an audience vote right here. This is definitely the audience letting us know what they like, what they prefer. And yes, Field of Dreams is a phenomenal movie, but you know what? Every year, new sports movies come trickling through. We've talked about it. We've talked about ones that aren't going to make the bracket next year, and that there's going to be some new ones that are going to come through. And The Sandlot is just continually rising up and continually going up higher. It's going to be more than a 7 seat next year for sure with this showing.
Oh man,
absolutely.
Can't lie with that. But as you see in our main bracket, we've now finished out that 3rd tier, setting up for the Sweet 16, and now we move on to Region 3, which was our racing and basketball region. And with our very first matchup, we had White Men Can't Jump taking on Ford versus Ferrari. Craig, how do you think it went?
White men can't jump. End of story.
There you go. George, your take.
Short end of it. We going to Sizzler. We going to Sizzler. And a shout out to one of my cousins who's probably watching, who's a big basketball guy, who took me to see this movie when I was not supposed to be in rated R movies. And I am definitely going with White Man Can Jump. What up, Elvis?
Oh, man. Kevin, you got to round it out, bud. Which one do you think it was?
I'm going against the grain on this one. Sorry, boys. Woody Harrelson could not dunk on a 10-foot rim, and that's the reason why I'm not going to pick that movie. I can't. I gotta go for Ferrari in this one. They had to move down the rim to 9.5 feet for him to be able to dunk in this movie. Nope, can't do it. White man still can't jump, and it is dead in the water right here.
Well,
Is that the sequel? White Man Still Can't Jump?
Dude, that actually sounds pretty good. I'm not going to lie. But at the end of the day, though, taking 70% of the vote, White Man can prove they still can't jump and take this over Ford versus Ferrari, and we'll move on to the Sweet 16. But now they're going to take on what ended up being literally the closest vote we had in this round between Seabiscuit and Hoosiers, and this one literally came down to a single vote. Literally a single vote. George, I know you're probably itching right now to tell us everything you think about this. Where do you think the fans went with it?
I'm saying that the fans went with the photo finish and Seabiscuit by a nose, baby. That's what I'm saying, and that's how I'm calling it. And it comes to our audience, right? We're talking, there's so many great sports movies being made now, and Seabiscuit, even though it's a 2000-something movie, it's still part of our generation. Hoosiers is a little bit too further down the line, a little bit harder to find. If you're a big sports guy, it's not going to come up on your radar. Where Seabiscuit is, and Jeff Bridges kills it, Tobey Maguire kills it. If he would have never done Spider-Man, he would have won an Oscar by now.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, sometimes you go for the big bucks, and don't get me wrong. He's sitting
the finger gun should have worked. The finger gun
should have worked. You know what? Seabiscuit beat out Hoosiers by a finger gun. That's how I'm calling it.
By a finger gun. Craig, do you agree with that?
Man, this is such a close call. Obviously, I'm a basketball guy, so I would have picked Hoosiers. But I think just the story of Seabiscuit and how George put it, that Seabiscuit's a little bit more fresh in people's minds, and there are so many other better basketball movies out there. I think Seabiscuit took it by a nose.
By a nose. Kevin, are you going to fill out the trifecta?
Yeah, I got to go with Seabiscuit on this one. I played with a lot of Australians over the years in rugby, and they're very fond on betting on the ponies. So I'm going to bet on the ponies on this one.
Oh, man. Well, going back over to our bracket, literally winning by a single vote was none other than Seabiscuit over Hoosiers. Indiana hasn't been able to win a national title in 32 or 33 years. So, it just keeps it going for them right here, losing to Seabiscuit. So,
No title this year. No title this year either.
Well, nobody's having a title this year. Wait, what's that? Sorry.
Are we grouping Notre Dame in this?
I couldn't hear over Notre Dame's ACC title they had not too long ago. What's Michigan been doing lately?
The shithole they call South Bend, Indiana.
Hey now, we're full of learned doctors. All right.
You're full of something up there. All right. God, that place is a shithole. You ever been there?
Yes, I have. It's actually gorgeous. You ever been to Ann Arbor? Oh wait.
Ann Arbor is a beautiful lady. Okay.
I mean, if that beautiful lady you're looking through a pair of goggles after taking 12 shots, sure.
Hey, quit talking about me glancing like that. Stop talking about me glancing like that.
That's the same lady that goes, "Hey man, you want to come over and play some hockey? I'm from Andover, Michigan, don't you know?"
Don't you know?
Don't you know? Yeah.
Oh, it's too good. It is too good. But you know what? We still got more. You guys absolutely killed me in every way. We still got more to cover here. So looking back at our bracket, our next matchup is between none other than Space Jam and Coach Carter. Kevin, we're going to throw this to you first. How do you think the fans voted?
Space Jam all the way.
Oh, man.
Not even close. I'm talking blowout, landslide.
Oh, that hurts me deeply. Craig, do you agree?
Well, don't forget that Coach Carter never should have made it out of the first round because he got robbed. And second, just a reminder, don't forget that tonight is the premiere of The Last Dance documentary that people have been waiting for years, myself included. I cannot wait to watch this later. The Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary, that I think is going to play in a lot of people's minds when they were looking into this vote because it's so fresh. Space Jam probably won by a lot.
Oh, man, well, I don't know. We'll see. George, you're the last man. What do you think?
I'm going Space Jam. I agree, man. I agree, Craig. Coach Carter should have never made it out of this round, beating He Got Game. Denzel's probably going to write a letter to Samuel L. Jackson. We'd be like, what the hell was that? And the X factor for Space Jam that people tend to forget is Bill frickin' Murray.
Bill fucking Murray.
Bill fucking Murray, man. The guy is an icon. He has a documentary, show out where it's just stories of running into Bill Murray. I mean, the guy is just awesome. Not to mention, I did watch Space Jam with my kids. Not only were they like, who the hell are the Looney Tunes? But they were also made a very, very astute assumption where they go, my daughter he goes, the little guy, what's his name? And I go, his name's Muggsy Bogues. And he goes, he plays basketball? I go, yes, he plays basketball. I was like,
Muggsy.
Wow. That's harsh, but you know what? My kids loved it, so therefore it moves on.
Well, I have to tell you, this one definitely was not close. And Space Jam ends up advancing onto the Sweet 16. Like I said, definitely not even close. Coach Carter didn't stand a chance in this one whatsoever. But this next one, I don't know. It's kind of interesting how this one ended up kind of turning out. Or maybe I'm just saying this to throw people off. Who knows? But our next matchup was Blue Chips and
Easy, Paul
Talladega Nights. Craig, what do you think?
I said easy, Paul Heyman, trying to throw seeds of doubt in people's minds. Talladega Nights versus Blue Chips. The Blue Chips is a great movie, but I don't think it's not a very household name type movie compared to Talladega Nights. It's you ain't first, you're last. Ricky Bobby moving on to the Sweet 16.
Oh, snap. George, you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget that we're talking about Will Ferrell, but we're also talking about John C. Reilly.
Yes.
Same guy, same actor from Chicago, which was a drama role where he could sing and tap dance. Same guy that was also in The Perfect Storm. I mean, talk about range. This actor has, from dramas to comedies. I mean, we know Will Ferrell's a comedy icon, but nobody thought John C. Reilly was this frickin' funny. All right, until he started with Talladega Nights, and then it turned into Step Brothers, and now he has this weird character on Adult Swim that everybody's like, "What the hell is that?" You know?
Rule.
He's a great
Rule. Yeah,
there you
Dr.
go.
Rule or something.
Dr.
It's
Blue
hilarious,
or
by the
something
way.
like that. It's so funny. And you know what? That's where it's going. Talladega Nights is a juggernaut in this bracket.
Definitely. Kevin, do you agree with that assessment?
Not only John C. Reilly, but also Lee Farrell, Will Ferrell's dad, and how he contributed to this movie. So the song Goodbye Cowboy was actually written and performed by Will Ferrell's dad for this movie. And for that, I'm going to go father-son combo on this, and Talladega Nights moving on.
Oh, man.
Digging deep into the knowledge bag here.
He's getting some stuff out there, man. I tell you. But with how the vote went, this one definitely was not even close, getting 5 times as many votes as the other. Talladega Nights advances on to take on Space Jam in the Sweet 16. And going back to our main bracket that now fills out Region 3 for the Sweet 16, leaving only one more region to go through. And this one was definitely very interesting. And started off with the Mighty Ducks taking on the Battle of the Sexes. Craig, how do you think the fans went?
just like white men can't jump in the basketball region, not even close. Mighty Ducks they're going to advance all the way to the Final Four.
Oh, snap. Kevin, you think that's going to happen?
Mighty Ducks moving on in this one. Except I would have liked to see who they're originally casting for the coach in this for Gordon Bombay. I would have actually wanted to see this with Emilio Estevez's brother in this, Charlie Sheen, because he was actually cast for this role as Gordon Bombay. So I wish they would do like a remake of a Mighty Ducks and throw Charlie Sheen in there just to see it, because I think that would be comedic. I would think everyone would tune in to watch that. It would either be very good or be a train wreck like Tiger King.
Yeah, it'd be one or the other, but all I can imagine is that Charlie Sheen would just be like, you need to just play better. Play like you got tiger's blood in your veins or something, So I don't know, man. Craig, what are your thoughts?
Either that or he'll load him up with a bunch of cocaine and throw him on the ice. But,
oh, you're going to play well, your heart explodes.
Yeah, Mighty Ducks moving on pretty easy.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, when you actually go over the numbers on this one, this was the widest margin we had in voting, and the Mighty Ducks took it in extreme dominant fashion, taking over 90% of the votes. Definitely was just it was a slaughter. But our next matchup, listen to this guy. In our next matchup, though, we had Dodgeball taking on Caddyshack. Now, this one definitely was an interesting matchup. George, how do you think it went?
This one was probably very interesting, I got to be honest. I hope for Caddyshack. I hope that people delve into the classics a little bit here and they see the classic humor, and we're talking about Bill fucking Murray again, man. And, the guy is just a complete comedy icon, but not just, him. The whole cast are comedy icons all the way around. And Caddyshack just has that staying power. We talk about it every year on Groundhog Day. The Caddyshack is coming out. And it's kind of interesting to see what our audience is. I'm hoping Caddyshack, but I would not be surprised with a Dodgeball upset here. Oh,
man, Craig, which way do you think it goes?
Just our generation voting for these movies. Dodgeball, again, they even do like this day on X date on ESPN on Instagram, and they always reference Dodgeball in the Purple Cobras. So as much as I love Caddyshack, I think Dodgeball moves on.
Kevin, do you agree with that?
Dodgeball. It pains me to even go against Bill Murray in this one, but I think the fans voted for Dodgeball in this one. But if you haven't watched Caddyshack, please log in, watch it. You need to watch it. It's a classic, definitely, for sure.
Absolutely. And now, going back to our bracket, taking 58% of the votes was none other than Dodgeball, taking down Caddyshack, and Dodgeball will now take on the Mighty Ducks in the Sweet 16 in Region 4. So definitely interesting how Laws is shaping up. But we only got two more matchups to get through, the next one being Cool Runnings taking on Slapshot. Craig, what do you think about this?
This was my other very, very major upset prediction, and I've already gotten one right with the Sandlot. I am taking Cool Runnings in a very, very narrow victory.
Oh, man. Kevin, do you think that's what happened?
Cool Runnings all the way. It's gotta be.
Oh, snap,
But
George.
I've been talking about the show all night, like talking about different roles and who they would have cast. And I did a little bit digging on this one too, and I'm looking up Cool Runnings, and they're showing these guys that they were targeting: Denzel Washington as Doris, and Eddie Murphy as Sanka.
I knew Eddie Murphy
that
was
would
going
have
to be
been
in there.
brilliant.
That would have been a great cast.
But yeah, Cool Runnings over Slapshot. I enjoy Slapshot a lot, being a hockey fan, being a Red Wings fan. But Cool Runnings.
George, you agree with that?
See now, if they would have gotten Denzel Washington and they would have gotten Eddie Murphy to play Sanka instead of the same guy from, Operation Dumbo Drop, then yes, I would say that Cool Runnings moves on. But I am sticking to my guns. I am sticking to one of the best hockey movies of all time with the Hanson brothers. It's brought up every day, all the time. The Hanson brothers, that's their only role, was Slapshot, man. They didn't do anything else after that but break people's heads and play hockey and drink beer. So they, made a movie, they drink beer, and they break heads after that. So my vote is always going to be Slapshot. Paul Newman is a complete icon that you usually see in dramas, and here he is in a raunchy R-rated movie.
Oof.
This was before R-rated raunchy movies were even a thing.
Yep.
So I hope it's Slapshot.
Well,
And if you have not seen Slapshot, just like Caddyshack, go do yourself a favor. Go watch this movie because it's a fantastic movie. Just try not to get offended.
Yeah, definitely try not to. But with this, it ended up being an interesting vote, and taking 75% of the vote was none other than Cool Runnings, who will now move on to the Sweet 16 and took down Slapshot hard. But
Everybody needs to just send a care package to George right now. He's gonna need it.
Yeah,
Or just send him another Foster's. Just send him another Foster's.
Send me one of these.
and call it a day. Well, in our last matchup, we had none other than Blades of Glory, a Will Ferrell classic, taking on an Adam Sandler classic in Happy Gilmore. Kevin, going to throw it to you first. How do you think the fans voted on this?
I think the fans went with Adam Sandler. I'm seeing a trend here with Adam Sandler movies on this thing, and moving on. So I'm going to go with Happy Gilmore on this one.
Oh, man.
I mean, you can't give up the scene on Happy Gilmore when Bob Barker is just whooping his ass is probably the best thing I've ever, the price is wrong, Bobby.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely gold. Craig, do you agree?
I thought this would be a tough vote. I think this is a tough matchup to begin with. But with Kevin here, I think I'm going to take Happy Gilmore, but I think it's going to be somewhat close. Maybe not razor thin, but I don't think it'll be a landslide either.
Oh, man, that's 2 for Happy Gilmore. George, you jumping on the bandwagon?
I'm still trying to recoup here, boys. I'm not gonna lie.
Take another sip of Foster's. It's okay.
Slapshot. But I am going with Happy Gilmore, and since Slapshot is no longer around, Happy Gilmore is my pick to move on to the Final Four. Not only that.
Uh-oh.
Yes, is that your putter?
In inspiration of Happy Gilmore, yes. This is the actual putter that I use to make 40% of my shots.
Oh, man, that is good. That is good.
Inspired by Happy Gilmore himself. And let's talk about one thing with Happy Gilmore that's going to shoot this all the way to the Final Four. One of the best sports villains of all time, and that's Shooter McGavin.
Oof. Oh, man.
Played by Christopher McDonald. What a phenomenal role. And Julie Bowen, fun fact, is on Modern Family now. She was in Happy Gilmore. And, man, I don't know about y'all, but she looks identical. Modern Family and Happy Gilmore were shot 15 years apart. She hasn't aged, man.
Fine wine.
Yeah, she doesn't age.
Doesn't
Fine
age.
wine.
Fine wine. Fine wine right there.
Well, we do have to have a winner, though.
Also, one of the
What
greatest quotes from Happy Gilmore. He's like, "I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?"
No.
No.
Oh, man. It's too good. But you know what? Taking this in a landslide. That's right. This is a landslide vote for this one. Was Happy Gilmore taking down Blades of Glory. I don't think that's too much of a surprise to many. But now Cool Runnings is really going to have a hard test going up against Happy Gilmore in the Sweet 16. So definitely going to be really, really interesting there as you see us complete Region 4 of our complete bracket. And, man, we are just trucking right along here.
These matchups are getting really good. Looking at Mighty Ducks versus Dodgeball, Cool Runnings, Happy Gilmore. Just that region alone, I think, is going to be tough. Looking at, some of the other movies we've got left, this is going to be a tough week of voting, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to be interesting. George, what do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like we've actually gotten away from a few of the juggernaut matchups. We've gotten away from some of the upsets. Now it's going to be just a tight race all the way through. Anybody can really take this all the way. You got a few tough ones in there, like Happy Gilmore going up against Cool Runnings. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dodgeball unseats the Mighty Ducks just based off of relevance right now.
Right.
Dodgeball's got that comedy staying power, that could very well upset the Mighty Ducks in terms of relevance and as, more current. So I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I really think that it's going to be a comedy, though, that takes the ultimate prize.
Definitely very well could be. Kevin, your 2 cents.
Yeah, comedy, just what George was saying, comedy's big right here around these wins today and the wins last week. I'm going to think they're going to keep on moving on in that direction. I don't think the dramas, unless it's drama like Blindside. And I think the only reason that one moved on is because Michael Orr had such a successful NFL career. So you got to not only watch him in Blindside in the role and kind of delve into his portrayal of his life, but then you get to see him succeed and eventually win a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens. So I think that's why that has a lot of staying power with that movie. But I think comedies are going to dominate going forward.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. It's definitely been very interesting to see how this entire tournament has progressed. And, yeah, we're definitely getting down to the nitty-gritty. There's going to be some interesting matchups here in the Sweet 16 and eventually also the Elite 8 and the Final Four. So we'll see how a lot of this progresses. Make sure, though, that if you want to be involved and have your 2 cents heard, that you go over to podcastcity.net and click the Sports Movie Madness link there. That way you can go ahead and cast your votes for the Sweet 16 that we will reveal on next week's episode 55 of Final Score. And it's definitely going to be great. I can't wait. Remember, those polls will be open until this upcoming Thursday, April 23rd, until 11:59 p.m. So definitely do not wait to get your votes in. Get them in as soon as you can. That way you can make sure that your voice is heard as part of Sports Movie Madness. Man. It's been fun, man. I ain't gonna lie. But sadly, though, we are getting to that point in our show, and it's about to be quitting time. I know I need me some beers after this one.
This is a great week of voting. I'm really looking forward to next week.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun voting for sure. Wait, you haven't been drinking this whole time? Because, I mean, it is Sunday, buddy.
Well,
Catch up, man.
I had to do a lot of technical difficulty stuff, so I wasn't able to get my whiskey right beforehand. So, I got to go play catch up now. So now I got to go be a crazy Chris Wilson over there, back there with some whiskey. So, we'll see how it works out. But at the end of the day, though, we are getting near the end of our episode. And with that, we have to say goodbye to our wonderful guests. But we thank you guys for coming on. But, George, where can they find more Couch Dads podcast and Jorge DeMoya?
Well, you can find me at Couch Dads Pod on Twitter. You can also find me at Couch Dads Podcast and at 90 Miles Media or Flintstone Media on Instagram and through their websites, www.flintstonemedia.com. Also check out FloridaPodcastNetwork.com, where we got a lot of stuff going on. Fun little fact, my boss, Jemmy, actually visited Big Cat Rescue back in the day. On an old episode that we re-released. You'd be interested to hear what are some of the things that she said and talked about with Big Cat Rescue before the Tiger King episodes happened. So, fun little fact there for you boys to check out.
I mean, did she open with, "Hey, all you cool cats and kittens"? Like, if not, I'm going to be very disappointed.
She did not, but let me tell you, the conversation that they started having was so hindsight ironic, because this was done a little bit further back, that it scares you a little bit.
I mean, as long as you didn't see buckets of
kudos
sardine
to
oil.
her. Oh, no. But kudos to them for visiting Big Cat Rescue before it was even a big deal on Netflix.
Right.
And to all my couch dads out there, Slapshot's not in there, but Happy Gilmore is. Happy Gilmore's my pick, boys. If not, you're going to see this 9-iron right here, this putter. I'm going to stick it right there.
Definitely going to keep my door locked for that one. But Kevin, where can they find out more of Kevin Wathen and the Jacksonville Axemen?
So the team we spotlighted today was the Jacksonville Axemen. Obviously, all the rings, all the glamour, the hardware. 3 national titles that we've won in our short existence of 15 years. You can find them on jaxaxe.com. That's JAXAXE.com. You can find all the information about the postponement and when these guys are going to carry on the upcoming season. If you want to find anything USARL, log into usarl.org, and that will give you the information on the entire league and what's going on with the USARL Hawks with their upcoming games, international games. Next week in our rugby review, we're going to take a trip to the west coast of Florida, and we're going to be looking into our team spotlight on the Tampa Bay Mayhem. Good program, a lot of good guys over there. A lot of tough contests when the Axemen always go against Tampa. It's always a good hit up, lots of big hits, and you're going to see those big hits. I'm going to dissect some more video and present you guys with the top 5 biggest hits from the Mayhem.
Nice, very nice. Can't wait for that. So definitely make sure that you join us next week. This is part of episode 55. It's definitely going to be a great time, but sadly, that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you, Kevin and George, for joining us this week for another exciting episode. And Craig, we've done it again. Now let's come back and do it again next week. And make sure that if you want to keep up on all things Final Score and know exactly when we'll be live next week, you need to follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also check out all of our content platforms, as well as finding us on Podcast City. .net. And also make sure that if you're going to vote in Sports Movie Madness, that you go and do so as soon as possible, as the polls will only be open till 11:59 this Thursday, April 23rd. So get those votes in. But until next week, I'm Chris, that's Craig, and George, and Kevin, and you just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night.
Podcast City Network.